How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks. We focus on one thing: always protect your profits. And you know what? It has been a minute since I showed my face back on this camera. I'm gonna go back to doing that more often. But the recent sell-off that we had on Friday in the markets, I got a lot of messages. People are saying, hey, what do you see these stocks doing for the coming week? We're gonna be going over Lucid and as well as for SOFI. We're gonna be taking a look at the charts, and also we're gonna be going on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information and as well as the institutional ownership. And if you are new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description because I do value your time. I won't waste any more of your time. Let's get into those videos right now, and then I'm going to be giving you guys my final thoughts afterwards. So we're going to take a look at the chart for Lucid. Let's see how it performed on the Friday. So it ended up closing at $16.24, being down 4.36%. On the low, it tested $16.21, and then on the high, testing $17.28. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 13.16 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 13.332 million shares. So we had about the average, and we also saw a pullback in the stock. No surprise, since we did have a lot of weakness in the market. When we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, we can see that Lucid continues to trade below all of our major moving averages, which is a 50 EMA to 21 EMA, and as well as for the 9 EMA. On the Friday, we did get another spike above the 9 EMA, getting to $17.28, but of course we ended up selling off alongside with the rest of the market, and we saw a low at $16.21. So for this coming week, where could Lucid possibly go? So we want to see, will it be able to hold support at $16? If it can't hold support at $16 like it's done in the past, or even around that $15.96 level, then we could see Lucid coming down to $15.29, and we know the 52-week low is at $13.25. So this pullback continues in the market overall. We could see Lucid pulling back further and getting close to that 52-week low and start trading in that $14 range. So please add that to your homework. If you're looking for a reversal, then of course you want to see it go back to reclaiming 17 bucks. But in my personal opinion, unless we have some big buying that starts coming back in, I think this is very unlikely for the near term, especially going into September, which is known for being a pretty weak month for the stock market. So that's why, as far as the 9 EMA is concerned, even though it is at $16.98, unless we have a big time catalyst or some sort, I don't see us coming back to retest those levels, and this sell-off could easily continue. So let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Lucid. So green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings we have here, we have Allianz Variable Insurance Products Trust that purchased 21,083 shares. We also have SPDR MSCI USA Strategic Factors ETF that purchased 371 shares. We also have STF Tactical Growth ETF that purchased 2,359 shares. We also have Kensho New Economies Composite ETF that purchased 101,898 shares. We have a good amount of filings for the 26 here. Let's focus on the ones that are the most noticeable. So we have Variable Insurance Products Fund that purchased 7,445 shares. We also do see Nuveen Nasdaq 100 Dynamic Overwrite Fund that purchased 110,670 shares. We also do have State Street Small Mid-Cap Equity Index Portfolio that purchased 125,900 shares. We also see HCVEX that purchased 16,000 shares. And we also have Fidelity that purchased 72,000 shares, just a little bit over that. And we also do see SPDR S&P Kensho Smart Mobility ETF that purchased 59,762 shares, and the others we have already covered. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 64.25%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 2.90 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 800,000, updated just now, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 7.68%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 25th, it is at 51.94, and then for the close of the 26th, being at 64.25. So that is a significant significant increase right there. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 20.86%, Lucid does continue to have short squeeze potential. Let's take a look at SOFI. So we ended up closing at $6.18, being down 7.62%. On the low, we tested $6.12, and then on the high, testing $6.89. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 74.661 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 59.637 million shares. So you can see that we did have above average volume, and we saw a pullback in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, you can clearly see that SOFI is trading below all of our major moving averages, which is the 21 EMA, the 50 EMA, and as well as the 9 EMA. We have the 9 EMA that is crossed over the other major moving average, and of course this is a bearish signal, and we want to see if SOFI can show some support right at $6 when it tests that for the coming week. I feel it will break through it, and then we can start seeing some levels right here around 575, and this is where we have seen bulls show up in the past. If they do not show up, then I can see SOFI coming back down to 515, and that's where we get really close to those 52-week lows at $4.82, so please add that to your homework. Another thing to take into consideration if you're looking for a move to the upside now, again, this candle is pretty big on our one-day chart. We want to see if SOFI can gain some momentum and get back to $6.50. If it can't reclaim $6.50, we have the 9 EMA, which is at $6.58, and we get rejected, SOFI will go down further. But if we end up turning around, that's where we can see if we can get to that 50 EMA at $6.78. But in my personal opinion, I see more selling pressure continuing for the coming week, especially going into the month of September. So let's see what it does going into Monday. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for SOFI. So scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So we take a look at the recent filings for the 26th, we have quite a bit. So we're going to focus on the ones that are the most noticeable. So we have variable insurance products that purchased 8,494 shares. We also see another position from them where they purchased just over 19,000 shares. We also have State Street Small and Mid Cap Equity Index Portfolio that purchased just under 187,000 shares. We see Fidelity that purchased 105,440 shares. Season Series Trust that purchased 8,319 shares. And State Street again that purchased 7,800 shares. Going down, we have FTQI that purchased 6,259 shares. We have the Value Equity Portfolio HC Strategic Shares that purchased 50,199 shares. And we have Allianz that purchased 42,461 shares. And that sums up all the filings we have for the 26th. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 40.89%. And then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 14.28 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 10 million, updated 3 minutes ago. And then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 1.09%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 25th, it is at 40.73. And then for the close of the 26th, being at 40.89. So it went up a little bit. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 15.19%, SOFI does continue to have short squeeze potential. So to give you guys my final thoughts for Lucid and as well as for SOFI, let's start off with Lucid. So we could see with the price action, there's a strong likelihood for this coming week, Lucid will come down to $15.30. But if it decides to break below this level, that's where we get even closer to that 52-week low. So I know a lot of my investors out there, you should be excited about this. Many people are saying, well, you know what, I didn't want to pay for Lucid when it was trading in the $20 range and so forth. So now that it's pulling back and we are going into the worst month of the stock market, which tends to be September, I feel there's going to be a lot of opportunities available. And for all of my traders out there, you want to make sure that you're paying attention to the levels to the upside and as well as for the downside, so you can come up with a strategy that is right for you, especially if you're going to be trading it intraday. But again, I'll be watching $15.30 and as well as the psychological area that we have at $17. As far as for SOFI, it is close to its 52-week low as as well. And the level that you want to watch is $5.75. If it ends up breaking through $5.75, that's where things can start looking pretty weak. As far as for the upside is concerned, you want to see it being able to make a move going to $7. So if it can make a move going to $7, it would be very interesting. But if the market is pulling back, I just feel that SOFI will follow along with it. And the lower that stock price goes, we also have to understand that they're willing to do a reverse split. It is on the table. So if that stock price gets way too low, I can see them exercising that option. And I know a lot of investors may not be happy about that. But hey, this is a company that has been putting out some solid earnings, showing some strong growth. So if you're in it for the long term, this shouldn't be too much of a problem for you, but it is something that you want to have in the back of your mind, especially if this market continues to pull back. So for my investors out there, keep watch, and for my traders, pay attention to the levels that I talked about. It is very important that you have a strategy, you have a game plan, so you're not just going into the market and saying, well, you know what, I'm just gonna buy or I'm just gonna sell for whatever reasons. Have a strong plan. I want to make sure that I emphasize this. So I will continue to keep you guys inside of the loop. Let's see how these stocks perform for the coming week, and I'll be talking to you guys real soon.